Hi, I'm Thomas Snyder, and welcome to Day in Sudoku for July 24th. This is our first episode of the series, and not just because we're going to start the series today, but because of the puzzles we're posting on the site today. I honestly think this is the greatest day in GMPuzzles history. No hyperbole there. At least I will not use that title for a video again in the next year until we really have topped it. This series is trying to do something that I think is important for the Sudoku community, which is organize where solvers and setters want to gather and just talk about what's happening in Sudoku. And so if all I end up being in the future is a news anchor and I'm pointing to great puzzles, I'd love to have that role. I think the selection of content and where Sudoku is being discussed is a little curious for actually the value of the puzzle as I know it and I love it and where it could go. So we're going to use this to highlight some of our own work. Yesterday's Sudoku, the why and the how of these puzzles sometimes. We're going to talk about news or other stories in Sudoku broader than GMPuzzles. If you've got a teaser for a project and it passes our editorial bar, this is not a sponsorship plug. We'd love to talk about it here. We're going to have a teaser to the puzzle releasing in 1 to 5 minutes. This will be a premiere form of a YouTube video. It will be at 8:50 a.m. every morning. It will never be more than 10 minutes. It will finish before the new puzzle we have on the site by me or an author like me for a classic ? Sudoku has written it. That's going to be another place we just gather and solve together if you want to. You can try to be the first to solve that puzzle. We may hold back the solution PDFs a little more. We don't know. Like, we're going to figure out how to make a community really experience Sudoku differently and learn Sudoku differently than it's been trained by people who have Snyder notation. I have Snyder notation. I'd love to show you Snyder notation as an example. Finally, we'd love polls for AI prompts. If you want to ask somebody, whether it's Thomas or ChatGPT, how to make a Sudoku that does blah. I want a birthday cake Sudoku for my best friend. I want a wedding proposal. Well, I know at least one of those two sources has done those things, and we'd love to have contests and other things going on here. So this is going to be our hub for stuff we're doing. It may or may not be intelligible. We're going to try to have it be very intelligible, but there's a lot that goes on in my head and in our team's heads all the time. And for sure, I'm teasing Thomas number 600 is at a final boss. We've always had milestone puzzles with every 100 things here. That countdown's getting pretty close, and I can't hide behind Dr. Sudoku numbers for too long, so who knows what this next week will bring. For sure today, though, I want to talk about yesterday's puzzle, another way to grab your attention. This is a 49 given puzzle, which for most people would seem fully invalid. It's also what may seem to you to be simple until you try to solve it and then you find it is not simple. And I'm going to tell you this is simple. You just don't know how to look at a Sudoku in a good way yet. You're over-notating the puzzle. You're confusing yourself. You're trying to guess. You're looking for a Y-wing. This is singles and pairs, but it's using something you don't do, which is color pairs. That actually, now that I do digital Sudoku pad solving, my favorite thing and my only favorite thing in Sudoku pad is its use of color in a Sudoku app. Everything else is awful. We'll talk about that another time. So what is true of this puzzle? Well, this geometry, unlike the puzzle about to release in a few minutes, has two givens in that 2x2 square that are the same, and so this puzzle can have hidden singles at the start. And that means that the first step most people should be able to see in this grid, and even if they start at number 1, then go to the number 9. Number 1 is a great place to start. You get 2 ones. You're then not going to have much to do. You can mark some Snyder-like notes in a hidden information space. It's not going to ever give you a sure number. And so in my own solving mode, I throw Snyder notation 1 to the side and go to Snyder notation 2. I just want to mark by value cells or find naked singles in this puzzle at this moment from my intuition of how undense the space within the upper right four boxes are versus all the content to the left and bottom. The left and bottom is a lot of naked single intersections if you look for them. So here are the yellow areas. These are the best 16 cells. There are 14 other OK cells that are in white. But one thing you can do in Sudoku Pad is mark when you've done a kind of search and know where you've looked. So I'm going to very much remember 20 minutes from now if I'm still stuck. I've never actually notated the white cells. I've never looked at a white cell for a naked single, but I'm going to look at these 16 and see what comes next. If I look in the top, there's a 7, 8 in row 1, column 6. That is to say you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It almost looks like it's there on purpose with a 9. 7, 8 is left behind at the top. You can also find a 4, 6 and a 3, 6. If you looked at columns first, you might have actually noticed the 4, 6 and the 3, 6 form pairs, naked pairs. In column 5 and column 9, those are there at the start. There's also another 7, 8. That's exciting. And then a 6, 9 and a 2, 4. So we've marked a lot of these cells, but recognize the 3 naked pairs are far more interesting to me than that 6, 9 or that 2, 4 at this moment. That's okay, but we've got some places where we're going to, if we place a number, just like with regular Snyder notation, again, I'm only in naked mode. I'm in Snyder notation 2 mode. I'm going to know that I can eliminate and do a next placement very fast. My notation will not confuse me. Hidden brain is off for this puzzle at this moment. I'm now going to some of the places I found those naked pairs. The 4, 6 in column 5 now leaves a 5, 8, and 9 for the rest of that column. Well, in row 2, there's a 5, so that's an 8, 9 two-value cell. In the bottom, that 9, that's a 5, 8 two-value cell. And we can do that across a space. The most interesting thing that's yielded by doing that is row 1, column 9. There's another 7, 8. I now have 3 7, 8 pairs in this grid, and they all see each other. What does that mean? There is the start of a potential chain, simple coloring, or any other kind of logic. People will throw this under the bus because it may become guessing, but this is not really guessing. This is chaining. And now what we want to do is look at that space and see what it can chain into. And I don't want to teach you difficult chains where the values change yet. I'm just going to teach you chains with exactly 2 numbers, exactly 2 colors. We're just solving in color now, and Sudoku Pad lets you do this. So if you're playing in the tool, please consciously think about this. I don't just have those in blue and pink. I want to actually take everything else that's a 7, 8 and make those be in blue and pink. So this is the current puzzle. We're going to just solve in blue and pink. We're looking at white cells only, so everything else I've marked. I guess I should everything even with notation right now is valid for this, except for where I see an 8. Like the 7s are actually cleanly marked and the 8s are cleanly marked. If it's not with an 8 or if it's not white, I can't put these things in. Where can pink go? Where can blue go? Either of these is a good way to look. What people will sometimes get is at the top, there's a pair going across, so 7, 8 aren't allowed in that row 1. There's a column. There's this coming across. There is a pink cell in row 2 that many people see. This is enough to set up a complex step like a remote pair, but let's just keep solving in color. It worked well. We got another number. We now have 4 chained values. Let's go for 5. Why not? Blue is also there. And you're then stuck. You could do a Snyder-like notation with pink in 2 cells. I don't have little dots. I prefer dots than fully shading the cells. Like I would love to have a way to do an either or pink. That's in column 9, rows 5 and 6. There are then 3 options for the pink in box 5. There are only 2 options for the blue in, is that right? Yeah, I think so. We're okay with how we're approaching some of this grid, but we now actually have a lot in column 8 we want to use, and let's use it. We've made a new 7, 8 pair. We could look at the full column like we did before, and again, we've not looked at a lot of the white spaces, and you'll end up finding some by-value cells and a naked single. You could also go to Snyder-like solving. If all you ever know how to do is hidden pairs, well, there's one here too. We've now made a hidden pair 2, 4. So if you love to say, oh, I got the 2, 4 pair, you got pair, 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 sure. And then the 3 hits the X-wing, whatever. Like whatever you want to call these things, it's actually not an X-wing. It's a column elimination. The way I intended to see it is you now set up 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, 6. Those are from givens. I actually can mark the given that's there as the 1 as opposed to the 1 in the row or column, but. Or actually, I forgot to shade the bottom row 9 one. Anyway, there are 3 1s that see this cell, so for sure, 1s are not your problem. You got 1 through 6 in the givens. You've got 7, 8 in the pair I wanted you to follow by coloring, and a 9 is left over in that cell, the only white cell that's highlighted at this moment. This is how you solve this puzzle. It's not very difficult, but you need to solve in color, and most of you have never thought of solving in color because most of you have thought of solving Sudoku on paper, and that was even me until about a month ago. So let's please challenge ourselves to see how far we can get with our own solving techniques. Let's then learn from what's presented the next day. Let's try it out in new ways. And I'd love to learn ways other people solve this puzzle. There was someone who got a nice Y-wing type chain with different digits. Those are certainly, there's a ton of by value in this puzzle. Not all puzzles will have so many opportunities. I didn't try to engineer out the Y-wing. I did try to engineer out the singles to try to tell this story. So I hoped I grabbed your attention with this puzzle, and Sudoku can be easy if you think someplace the box, inside, outside, around, who knows. It's not random guessing, but again, every morning, 8:50 a.m. PT for me in the West Coast. That's also like afternoon for people in Europe. If you want to come to learn about how we're writing Sudoku, this is the spot. So as a teaser, and I guess I'll have to live edit this because this is my modest form. This is the YouTube attention form. Great. I think just replace all exclamation points with question marks and you understand how I read the internet these days. 2 puzzles that are early best of 2025 contenders were released today, or are releasing today. The first, Triforce by Philip Newman, is my favorite little killer ever. My favorite probably puzzle by Philip ever, but I've not solved a ton of them. I do need to finally get to Tatooine Sunset. For sure, every little killer has like a single arrow into the corners, and people don't want givens in the grid. It's just, everyone's used the same general break-in for this stuff, and this has a nice way. It's like an onion, layer by layer by layer. It's coming out. It's probably a little spicy for the gas. That's okay. Like sometimes these get spicy, but this is an elegant rework of a puzzle that was otherwise going to be the first time I didn't even have a two-hat time. I took about 10 minutes on the first version of a different grid with this exact theme, and Philip saw he couldn't rescue it by edits, and so he just remade the whole puzzle, and he took something great to something amazing, and so I respect him for what he put in his time to actually do the GMPuzzles treatment here, which we've never asked Gas to do, but they are amazing constructors and were able to do far more than I was expecting. So when I got the rework yesterday, I was excited to have the extra task of fixing all the posts, even if it was a little extra time. For sure, though, back to the question mark, I don't know if people are going to like all the question marks in this grid, and I'm not going to exactly show what it is, but there's a sequel to the puzzle I was just describing, which called Nothing to Hide. It actually has two versions. I prefer the Snyder cut. Our editorial team requested I not post it as a Snyder cut to show the general principle of how to make a Snyder-like idea, but in a proper Sudoku form. So I can't have 49 givens. And I want to make two comments about this puzzle. This is marked atypical. And atypical is specifically a puzzle I wrote when I was in a high state of hypomania and choosing to take medication to try to get back to my normal self. So I can be very creative at times, and it's also when I have the potential for mental illness. It's when people like Van Gogh, not that he was ever diagnosed with this specific condition, but he definitely had cycling moods. My brain is not typical, but I'm trying to learn from it and with it, and by producing puzzles through it and talking about this experience. And so this was an idea both in the form of puzzle and in how to make puzzles that I wrote a little bit ago. I did not write this recently, but I'm marking it atypical because specifically when I wrote it, this is a puzzle that I want the world to be aware of eventually was written when I'm not in my normal state. And it's not because I'm near a hospital today or need hospitalization today. I want to make it very different. The December 12 Days of Sudoku project was atypical every day and written around the time of those posts. And that's a very different approach to how to manage creativity and publication that's different now. This puzzle is not great because it's atypical. It's helped because of that. It's great because of the why. Why did I write this? And there are actually a few answers to this, and you're not going to get the most important answer today. But the first one is to understand, in my favorite video recently of how to solve Sudoku like a world champion, I showed several geometries that had limited options for how they solve. The traditional number place geometry can only use hidden singles or naked singles, but never requires both of them. A different 27 given geometry I showed cannot allow naked singles at the start. This geometry on this thing, whatever the question marks are, you cannot do something with this geometry. And because of that, you'll be able to make sense of the title, and that doesn't mean the puzzle's easier to solve, but hopefully you get a sense of what's special and what makes this, in my mind, one of the greatest days in GMPuzzles history. I don't have more to say for now, but I hope you enjoy the series. There are lots of ways to prove your intelligence. You can like, you can comment, you can subscribe. Bots are very good at doing those things too, so you can solve, you can construct, you can form a sentence without autocomplete. That's going to be amazing in 20 more years, so keep enjoying it while you can do it now. Go on airplane mode when not flying, anything you want to do. AI can be an impressive part of our lives. AI can also be slop. Humans can be an impressive part of our lives. Humans can also be slop. Let's change the conversation. Let's continue the conversation, at least on Sudoku here. Farewell and enjoy Nothing to Hide, the Snyder Cut.